July is going to be a big month for me and many other movie enjoyers. We got Superman, Jurassic World, and let us not forget our baby Fantastic Four. Just to name a few. I am very excited for most of these releases because I find myself enjoying the environment of the movie theater. Of course, post-COVID, it has definitely taken a hit, but I still love going. Me and my brother go for most of the part always together, and it's our way of spending time out of the house. Watching the movie, talking about it afterwards, getting food, it's a fun time. However, what if I told you that it's not always as fun and relaxing as it's set out to seem? With big releases like Fantastic Four coming this July, I figured why not dive into the past and look at some other times where big releases left audience members leaving the theaters possibly scarred. You may get someone passing gas beside you the whole time. Maybe someone in front of you won't get off their damn phone. And hopefully not, but maybe the worst of the worst happens. There's kids in the theater. Gross. I'm not gonna go into theater etiquette because I feel like that's a whole can of worms that we do not need to open today. But that can definitely play a factor in the movie enjoying experience. Today we are going to get into some more thicker territory. So without further ado, let's talk about the true horrors of opening night at the movies. Of course, this wouldn't be right if we didn't mention Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, 1999. You remember the good one.
It was amazing. It was everything I thought it was going to be and more.
Following the huge, and I mean huge, success of the first trilogy, and with the second trilogy on its way, made fans hyped to say the least. Like for instance, fans camping out for weeks outside of a theater. Weeks for a movie in the 90s. I mean, that's just insane to me. I can't even take myself to go camping for a week, just as is, camping. Being outside and enjoying the nature that I'm lucky enough to be put on, cringe. It also makes you think, like, a week out of the movie's release, there can't be anybody waiting. And if so, maybe like 10 people, maybe. You have to imagine that the campers thought for a second or two to themselves, is this ridiculous? At the famous Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood, California, there was a group of fans that camped out for weeks, eventually developing a title called The Line. These superfans not only camped out, but saw this as an opportunity to build a community and maybe even make some friends. I mean, how about that? People that have the same interest, hanging out, getting hyped for a movie. I mean, there's really no harm in that simple act. I think maybe going to a convention may have been a tad easier, but who am I to judge? Some people quit their jobs and traveled from other cities to participate, aiming to be the first in line when tickets went on sale, once again, before pre-buying tickets was even really a thing. You gotta remember, folks, this is the 90s. We're not in 2025, this is back in the 90s. Things were a little bit more fun. I mean, nowadays you can't really do shit. You kind of just like, you know, you live online. Anyways, we're not gonna go into it. I'm just saying that things were a little bit more fun and communities where people did shit. Sound like an old head. All right, let's continue. Following this huge outbreak and obviously the internet becoming more and more accessible, people kept the trend alive and would set up charity events supporting the Starlight Children's Foundation. For the next films after The Phantom Menace, they camped out for 6 weeks prior to its release date. That is absolutely nuts. All I have to say to that is dedication. 6 weeks is insane. I hope the movie was really good to make it worth it. In an article from Hollywood Journal, April of '99, they state, they have been here for nearly 3 weeks now. The shifting band of 30 hardy souls camped up in pup tents and equipped with laptops, cell phones, digital cameras, and an internet connection that broadcast their vigil live to the world. They were streaming in 1999. It's that weird kind of gray area. It's that weird kind of gray area in the internet timeline where things were available, but they weren't like huge yet. So that's why, you know, people weren't buying their tickets online. That's whenever companies weren't really exploiting the internet. And it was kind of like a hidden privilege that you had. They have just 3 more weeks up until Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, opens on the Chinese big screen, and they're determined to be the first in line. The Force is clearly with them. Some say the Force, but I might be so bold to say unemployed schedules. I know most of these people quit their jobs in order to be here, but I'm gonna be so brave to say that they probably didn't have too much going on in their lives prior. Sorry. I mean, come on, I can't imagine. I mean, if you have time to spend 6 weeks outside of a movie theater, I'm just saying that they probably aren't going to conference meetings as much as other people. Yeah, sorry, boss, I'd love to stay, but The Phantom Menace is coming out 2 months from now, and I think I'm gonna camp outside the movie theater until the release date. Well, if that's what you want to do, that is awesome, but most of us have to feed our kids and our families, so go ahead. We can't miss this one. That's cool, dude. I heard that The Phantom Menace is gonna do really good, so I'm excited for you. Camping outside of stores and waiting for things to release, I feel like is more of a lost art nowadays, but also is something we know all about. Of course, scalping and reselling stuff is becoming more and more popular nowadays. We still see people camping out, but it's hard to come across people that are just eager to experience something and they're just excited. It's sad to see it go. I will say that I waited 4 hours early to be first in line for The Force Awakens at my local theater, and it was terrible. I would never do it again. Me and my friend, we got there and there was nobody in line. And I was like, huh, maybe this was not the right decision to make. Hey, but we were first in line. It was sick. Well, now you may be thinking, well, what happened to the line? What ever happened to that group? They would go to more films after, you know, these big Star Wars films. They did more films. They would go out and kind of camp out, group together and do these charity events. But eventually they started to die off ever since people were buying tickets online. They just got booted out, and that's that's kind of how it is. People buy tickets online. I'm not gonna drag it out any further than that. It's just, once again, online shoppers ruining the fun for everybody. Over time, waiting outside of movie theaters, days if not weeks, started to become more of a dead meme and slowly started to fade away years and years later. But it didn't end there, folks. With movies like Twilight, or even as recent as 2019 with Avengers Endgame. Tickets sold out in minutes, causing websites to crash and even caused scalpers, the scum of the earth, to resell tickets anywhere from $500 to $15,000. In some countries, fights broke out over spoilers, which, I mean, I totally get it, dude. If I'm waiting to watch a movie and some ass walks out saying even fake spoilers, I'd be so pissed. One guy in Hong Kong reportedly got beated up outside of the theater for loudly yelling spoilers. I mean, can you blame the attackers? Here on the Bo Berry Show, we like to, we applaud those who attack people. We're all about violence here. I mean, to be fair, the guy was clearly like he was looking for an altercation. You can only feel so bad for the guy. I mean, hey, you spoil a movie, you get your ass beat. It's kind of just how it is. Many movies have caused outbreaks and frenzies to occur, but where did it start? Well, apparently all the way back in 1975 with the movie Jaws. Shit, I need me some Jaws. With Jaws hitting the theaters, people were running out the same speed they ran into it. They were not expecting it to be as gruesome that it was and left the theaters screaming and puking. Gross. I'm pretty sure that the same thing happened with Terrifier 3. I think people were like getting sick in the theaters and whatnot. Some theaters took this as seriously to have ambulances outside in case anyone fainted. Also, along with this, there were snake-like lines forming around the surrounding blocks, creating the famous term summertime blockbuster. How about that? Little trivia knowledge for you next time you're drunk and spitting out Snapple Cap facts to a group of people that do not give a shit. With big movies coming out after the big boom of, I would say, like the late 80s, 90s, early 2000s. Theaters realized the high demands and of course had to take precautions. City police stations were getting onto them to control these flash mobs and everything to keep the city at peace. And something had to be done. Of course, every theater is different, but a big trend that was happening in 2011 with the release of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, there were 24-hour movie showings to keep big crowds at bay, which I think is incredibly badass. Bring back the 24-hour movie showings. I would love to see a new horror movie at like 3 a.m. I mean, that's just a vibe. That's awesome. Also, with the release of Harry Potter, they were holding wand duels outside of the movie theater, and the winner apparently got to finally hold a girl's hand for the first time. Take that, nerds. All seems fun and well. You know, we're getting people out of the house and people are having fun, right? Well, sometimes moviegoers aren't so fortunate and things can go south quickly. In 1973, there was a movie that came out before even Jaws, creating a big epidemic of people getting sick. This movie was called The Exorcist, which also, of course, had crowds fainting, vomiting, panicking. This happened so much that they were jokingly handing out barf bags before you entered the theater. But of course, they actually ended up needing them. Like I said before, folks, this was an epidemic. All right, enjoy your movie. Oh, and I almost forgot. Here's your barf bag. Seriously, take it. please. Some theaters hired medics to be on standby, and in New York, a woman broke her jaw after fainting and hitting a chair. Brutal. Go to have a fun night watching a new horror movie? Come back with a broken jaw. And to keep with the spooky theme, in Everyman Cinema UK, there was a tale of the ghost of Seat 25. Come on, bro. A woman was watching a film alone when she saw a man sit down in seat 25 next to her. After the movie had ended, she saw that no one was in the seat or even in the whole row. The man had simply vanished, and the staff later confirmed that the seat 25 has a legend tied to it ever since a projectionist died by a heart attack on a shift. I don't really know why specifically seat 25 is the cursed one, but I don't know. Locals say that if you feel someone sit next to you in an empty row, don't look. I mean, you gotta imagine that the theater took this urban legend and this fear, and they started using it to strategically market their theater, at least to some extent. The projectionist probably died, and they're like, yo, we should like low-key, like, we should like fuck with one of the theaters or something. Hey, I'm just saying that'd be kind of cool. Justin would have loved it. If he was here right now, he would say go for it. I promise you. I mean, at least to some extent. They gotta go on. Who knows? Maybe a projectionist didn't even die, and they're just like, oh, you know, tickets are running low. So let's say that one of our folks died and it's haunted. I don't know. You want to see the new creepy horror movie that just came out? Well, why don't you watch it in the Cursed Theater? Or how about The Standing Man at the Alamo Drafthouse in Austin? During a horror marathon late at night, a man kept standing in the back row as silent as he can be. Decent theater etiquette. Staff came and asked him to sit. He didn't move. Just as simple as that. Hey man, can you sit? All right. Sit down. When approached again, he stabbed him in the throat. I'm just joking. It doesn't say that. He wasn't there. Staff reviewed the footage. No one entered or left. And patrons swear he was real. I actually really like this one. I think that this one's cool. It's spooky and kind of believable. It's just the fact that they approached him though, because I mean, how do you mistakenly talk to somebody in a movie theater? But I mean, it's dark. Maybe it's like one of the theaters that have like curtains and stuff, and maybe they're like kind of far away. You know, whenever you kind of see someone but not too sure. I like to believe that it's real. Can I not have fun too? Or like maybe they came in from the bottom and he's all the way up top and they're like, hey, you asshole, you mind sitting down? Hey! Urban legends say he's the ghost of a man who died during a horror screening in the 80s. Of course, man. Of course in the 80s. Of course it was a horror movie. Of course it was the 80s. I love it. Source? Trust me, dog. Happened. Totally happened, dude. I was there. This is probably my favorite urban legend horror story, kind of like spooky thing. I don't know. I think it's fun. I fuck with this. Other than spooky things, some stories unfortunately don't end with a happy ending. Like in the 4DX Final Destination showing, a man dislocated his shoulder from a violent jerking of a chair. That's awesome. My transition. Some of them don't end in a happy ending. After the first sentence, that's badass. He also got whiplash from this. The man sued the theater and claimed that they were testing death like the movie. Sick. You know he felt like a badass after putting that one down. Final Destination fans called it poetic justice. Fate doesn't define you once again. Before we go, I feel like we should talk about the big one. Some people may have expected it, but of course, the tragedy of The Dark Knight, Colorado shooting. With such a big movie, security in most theaters were overwhelmed due to the riots. And even in an extreme case, Aurora, Colorado experienced a shooting at a midnight release, which forever changed how theaters handle securities at these big release events. I mean, I was pretty young while this happened, but I mean, everybody was talking about it. 24-year-old James Egan Holmes detonated tear gas and then opened fire on the audience, resulting in 12 deaths. The incident led to a national discussion about gun control and the intersection of mass shootings with pop culture. I mean, what a fucking dickhead, bro. Not to say by any means that there's an appropriate movie for a shooting, but it's a Batman movie, man. So, you know, there's kids, families are there. It's bullshit. I mean, obviously, as terrible this case was, and I do think it brought attention to movie theaters. I mean, like, there's got to be security with so many people there, and I mean, people are mentally disturbed. I mean, everywhere you go, people are mentally disturbed. So it's good that security upped it, but I mean, for this to happen, in order for changes to be made, I mean, that's just terrible. It was terrible. It's a horrible event. I think if there's gonna be a big movie, there should be security there. I mean, even if it's just medical staff, there should be at least somebody on standby that's like, all right, you know, there's a big group of people, kind of like whenever there's like a community event at a city. I mean, you're gonna have security officers there. So if Avengers comes out, you're probably gonna want at least one medical professional on scene. I mean, there's not really much more to say about these big movie theater riots and stuff. All I gotta say is, you know, with these big movies coming out here recently, make sure to be safe. Make sure to try not to piss other people off. Don't spoil the movie. If you go watch Doomsday next year or Fantastic Four this year, whenever you walk out of the theater, don't talk about it. Just kind of wait for a second. Make sure you're all by yourself. Maybe even wait till you get to the car before you talk about it, because you might piss off the wrong person. And like I said, try to be safe. Be kind to others. Have good theater etiquette. Don't be a dickhead. That's pretty much the moral of the story here. I'll see you either next Friday or maybe Sunday. The video that I have planned is probably going to be a long one, so make sure to get some popcorn. All right, see ya.